Yes, guys, welcome from me. This is Championship Manager 0102. So, one of my recent videos, which was the April update alongside Nick's patch of 229, I always try to do these videos, you know, just sort of to support people. Somebody gave me some feedback, and I've got to be honest, it's really, really good feedback. And that was that it weren't necessarily explaining it from a noob perspective. And I re-listened to it yesterday, and a guy from the forums, Fods, and it's funny really because I don't like listening to my own videos unless I'm doing it for feedback, and this is exactly what I was doing it for. And I thought he is absolutely right. I tend to speak fast and probably don't explain things thoroughly like I should do if somebody is a brand new newbie. So we're going to do it again with, based on the title that you can see right there, simplicity, installing the game. So I'm not going to teach people how to suck eggs, but I am, because basically, I need to practice what I preach. Really, some people are not computer savvy. And even though I say that, I probably skip a few important statements of what they should make. So this might appeal to some people. It might to some of you. You might think, "No, fuck this. I know all this shit," and I get that. You know, this video is for those that need that real step by step. And let's be honest, right? Some people do need that step by step. You know, not everybody is as clued up to navigate around a PC or laptop as what the other person is, and so on and so on. I believe everyone within the game has their strengths of something, their knowledge of something, and that's what makes the game so great of keeping it alive, particularly on things like the Facebook group, where we've got a team of admins and we've all got strengths in various things, the same with the forums, and so on and so on. So, the first thing I'll explain is when you install the game, you have to install the game from either from your CD, or from an ISO drive. So you can download the game for free from the link in the description, which is the championshipmanager0102.net. Should come up something like this. And you can go straight to downloads and download, along with everything else in downloads. More about that afterwards. But you can download the full game around here somewhere. There it is, the game right there. And when you download it, you will download what's called, now this is difficult, because I'm only going to speak from Windows 8 and above perspective. Okay? Forget Windows 7 for a minute. I'm only going to speak from Windows 8 and above. So when you download the game, you will download what is called an ISO file, which will look something like that. And then when you open it, when you double click that, right, if I just, when you double click or right click it, either way, you mount. Now what happens when you mount, there you see, it's just automatically opened, and it has created a virtual drive. Drive E is I haven't got a drive E, I haven't got a DVD drive. It's a virtual drive, and that is what the ISO does. It creates a virtual drive, and CM is now in it. Now, this is for the benefit, really, is people that don't have the CD. Now, if you've got the CD, you chuck your CD in, your drive D or E or whatever letter it may be will have this on anyway. But this is a virtual one, and this is what you will be prompted with. When you first open your ISO, the very first time, you may have to open with Windows Explorer. You may have to do it for the very first time, okay? But after that, they'll all look like that, and you just double click it, and then it will come up. Now, when you reboot your PC or laptop, you'll need to double click it again. You may have seen when people say, "Oh, it's asking me to insert a CD." Double clicking that is inserting your CD. That is inserting your CD. And if you want to eject it, right-click it, and you can eject your CD, which is going to make me look a real fucking liar now, isn't it? Oh, I think it's over here, isn't it? I think we have to do it over here. Let's just double-check. There it is, yeah. Right-click the DVD drive, and you can eject it. So, as you can see, I've not got a drive there. The CD's not in, because it doesn't say it right here. If I double click it, bit of a go slow, are we? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there you see. So, that is your first step. And if, like I said, if you've put it into your CD, you've got a CD drive, DVD drive, shall I say, or whatever you want to call it. You pop it in, you open it up exactly like you would do if you were doing that, and then you go for setup. Now, it must be this setup icon with the little computer, very Windows 98 icon. But a lot of people, right, they tend to click on that, the launch icon. They see that it is an application, and it must be that. It is not that. If you click that, you'll be prompted with that. The game's not installed, so you must install it. Okay, so setup. So if you want to make it easy for yourself, click on type files and look for your applications. It's an application, but it's not these. Okay, it's just your setup. Okay, click your setup. Okay, now choose your desired language, whatever that may be. English, obviously. Okay, now I will explain exactly what your options are here. Do you accept the terms and the license agreement, etc.? Yes, you do. If you go back or no, then you're not going to get no further on the installation. Choose your destination folder. Now, ordinarily, it defaults at Drive C, Drive C, Program Files, times 86. That's your folder that you're going to install it into. You can change this if you wish, and change it to wherever you move it to wherever you want. Very common for people that have got partitions in their drives. Partitions are don't mind me, I've just got a bit of coke. No, I'm joking. Your destinations, really, 9 times out of 10, you probably leave it where it's going. But some people have their drives partitioned up to drive D and E, and they've got extra hard drives and so on and so on. Ordinarily, though, most people will just leave it as it is, and it will go into Program Files, times 86, I think it is. That's the name of the folder, Championship Manager 0102. So that is your next step. So you can browse and make it wherever you want. You have 3 options now. Typical, install, compact, or custom. Now, as you can see there, custom, you may choose these options. Choose the options you want to install, recommended for advanced users only. Alternatively, a typical one will install the most common options, or a compact where it will be installed with the minimum required options. Choose whatever suits you. A lot of people would probably go with typical. I personally, I go with a custom because I think it's quite straightforward, to be honest with you, and I'll explain it anyway. You specify what you want. Now, if you're looking at, look at your space required. There you go. 792,000 kilobytes. Space available, 2,275,316 kilobytes. So, if I take off sounds, you can see space required. There you go, it's gone down. History, picture tools, pictures, and of course the big one, quick starts. As you can see, how much, you don't need quick starts. You don't need them. Quick starts, let me remind you what they are. Years ago, or you could, I think it was on one of the old CMs as well, actually. You could start a game and restore it, a quick start. And it's just to give you a bit of a head start. Personally, you don't want to be doing that, in all fairness. If you really want to, explore it, then go for it. But, as I said, now, space required to install the game, 127,072 kilobytes. We can, in theory, put, over 15, 16 installs like this. Okay? So, I will click next. I'm not, from my own specification, I'm not bothered about pictures, picture tools, sounds. I'm not bothered about sounds. If you want a few sound effects whilst you're playing the game, a bit of cheering here and there, it adds a little bit more to the experience. But it's each person's specification, what they want. So I would click. That's what I would do personally. And on to next. It will now just give you a confirmation. Are you ready to install? This is what it's going to be known as within your program folder when you go to add and remove. If you're add and removing a program, that's what it'll be known as, Championship Manager 0102. Next. and we are installing. Now you can see this is installing by these little bars at the left here. Ordinarily, if you were running off the CD, if you had a proper CD, you'd have some bar activity, a little bit more than what you just saw. You saw one bar there. Okay. Do you wish to create a shortcut on your desktop? Now that's up to you. That is entirely up to you. A desktop on your shortcut. I'll come back to that in a moment. And you can view the README file or install DirectX. Personally, what I would do is I would always just click finish to both of them. Install DirectX. The chances are you've already got DirectX on your computer. The chances are. That's the README that I just mentioned. You can just read it if you wish. And that is telling you to ensure you are running it on Service Pack 3. More about that in a moment, what Service Pack 3 is. Okay, so you are installed. You are ready to play CM. If you wish, you are ready to play CM. Now, you see I opted not to have a shortcut on my desktop, as you can see. And the reason I've chose that is, again, what I personally advise, as a noob perspective, you won't have several CMs like I have. So I would personally agree to have what they've just asked and have it on your desktop and have it right here, okay? Okay, so you are ready to play CM. Now, let's go straight to it. And it's right here. Ignore all these other CMs. So that's what we've just installed. Okay? So, the next thing we need to do is, remember you just saw Service Pack 3. So what they're saying is, if you right-click your X, now your X, if ever you've heard the word your EXE or your X, it's basically your launch icon, your CM launch icon. Now look at it, it's the same as that one we saw when we looked in the CD, and I said to you, a lot of people click this to install the game, and this is where they get confused, you see. They click, this is to now, you've now officially installed the game. So, your X, your launch icon, before you open it, you need to just make sure that you've got a few settings set up, okay? And I'll explain how you do this. Right-click it, and click Properties at the bottom there. Okay? After you've done right-click and Properties, you click Compatibility, which is right there. Two main things here. One, run this program as an administrator. It is already checked. Very, very important. And also, run this program in compatibility mode for, and remember we said Service Pack 3? Right there. Service Pack 3. Okay, that's what they mean. That's what it runs better on. Okay? And bang. Okay. You are ready to play CM. Okay, you're ready to play CM. And we can launch it now. And you are ready to go. In fact, I will show you. And Bob's your uncle. Now, in the top left-hand corner, version 3.9.60. You may have heard about versions 3.960, 3.962, 3.965. Now, what they are is this is the very first version of CM, as if you've just bought it out on CD 22 years ago. It's version 3.960. This is also what people call the vanilla version, untouched almost. It's not been modified. There's no enhancements or anything like that. And if I just put that into, it's in minimum database, and I'll just fire up a quick game, and I'll show you. So just remember your statements at the beginning here. Use real players, yes or no. Attribute masking, yes or no. And choose your country. And you may now remove. Now, of course, it's saying you can remove it. You've already got the CD in, of course. You can just click OK. Okay. And we'll just whatever take Arsenal. And there we see. Now, when I say vanilla, I mean nowadays some people they have like coloured attributes and various bits and pieces. Obviously this is vanilla, untouched, and this is actually the version my brother plays. He don't play any patched version at all, and I'll explain more about patched versions afterwards. So there you see that is a vanilla version, okay, absolutely as it was back in the day. Okay, let's just come out of it now, and now let's talk about step 2. So So, question is now, not everybody wants to play the vanilla, or some people may want to play the ODB with some, they might want to play some ODB, but with Nick's Patcher. Now, for those of you that don't know, Nick's Patcher, let me explain to you what Nick's Patcher is. Nick is a guy from the forums, Nick and Co, his ID name is, and Nick created a piece of software to go in line with Championship Manager 012. It's to add various bits and pieces to the game to make it more realistic. And I'm not just, when I say bits and pieces, there's fucking loads of stuff he puts into it. Some of it is just absolutely amazing. It really is absolutely amazing. Now, I don't want to steer away too much to the advanced installation, because I really want to focus on simplicity. The simplicity side of things is what we've just seen right there. We've installed the game, you are ready to rock and roll. So Nick's Patcher, you may have heard, if you're not familiar with it, I'm sure you've heard of it. Nick's Patcher, what the hell is all this Nick's Patcher? Nick's Patcher, he has patches all over the place. Now let me show you what I've got over here. So Nick's Patcher, he's got various versions. There is a version I'm missing there, but it's not here or there. Okay, so before Nick came up with this patcher, which I'll show you in a moment, there was a guy called Saturn from the forums. That was his ID name, and he had a Saturn patch. Before Saturn, there was a guy from the forums called Tapani. Tapani, he had a few patches, so that was referred to as the Tapani patch, the Saturn patch, and then now the latest is Nick's Patcher. Nick's been going for a few years now. No one really knows where Tapani and Saturn went to, but I know that when Nick started making patches, he started implementing Saturn's work and various bits from Tapani. That's what makes Nick's Patcher so great. With all the work from all three of the guys, it's just absolutely crazy. Now, if you want to use a Nick's Patcher, that's one thing. If you want to use a Nick's Patcher, if you want to put an update on of any description, now the update, as we were just talking about updates, there's various updates all over the place, and the most common one is the April 2024 day update. But if you want to go back to an old update, there's loads, absolutely loads around here. Okay. If you want to put an update on onto your computer, you must install this SI Games patch version 3.968. I'll explain to you what that is. That is an official update that you can get online. It was to tweak a few problems, a few bugs with the vanilla version. Now remember, when we just fired up the game, it says 3.960 in the corner. That will change to 3.968. There was actually a couple more in between. There was 3.962, and there was 3.965. I think there might have even been a 6.7. But 3.968 was seen as the bollocks. And this rectifies a lot of problems. So you would need to double click this, and you would need to install it. Now, before you do that, because I don't want to confuse you too much, because you must do that if you want a Nick's Patcher of any kind. You may want to play ODB, right, the original database, but with a few coloured attributes and and these sort of things rectified. You may want to have a long-term ODB game, but you want it to be stable. So how do you do it? And the reason I'm saying how to do it is because, as well as fixing a lot of the flaws, this patch here also updates the game data by a year. So it actually, in theory, it's actually the 0203 update. Rio Ferdinand has moved to Man United, for example. So there is a way around it, and I'll show you how you do that. So on your CM folder that you've installed, in your data, in here, right, that is your ODB. These are all your ODB files. I mean, it all contributes towards the ODB, okay? So what you really want to do is you want to just copy them somewhere, put them safe somewhere. Don't cut them, copy them. Within the data folder, copy them all somewhere, okay? Just for the moment. And I'll show you something. Data files. And as you can see, I've already got some here, right here, okay? So that is, there they are, you see? you'll see, you may have noticed there, very, very quickly, if I just look at the, if I look at that, you might have noticed at the very top there was an icon that I haven't actually copied. The only reason is that icon is irrelevant. It's not necessary, and you need to get rid of it if you want to play internet games. That's the reason you couldn't see that on the ones that I've got, just in case you're wondering. Okay, so keep them stored somewhere. Okay, so now go back to your that step that we were speaking about. Let's go and install. Let's go and install the 3.968 patch. Now, what this will do, you have to have installed CM, the normal CM, like we've just done. Because what it will do is it will look for CM 0102 on your computer right now. And it's going to find it. We know it's there because we've just put it there. It's going to find it. And there it is. It's found it. And the current installed version, it's even identified that it's the old version. And the new version to install is going to be the 3.968. And all these countries are going to be updated slightly. Click next to update. Okay. And when you're ready, we ain't got all day. Do you know what? I'm on a real go slow today. It's doing my head in. Okay, and that's complete. Now, at this stage, right, you are ready to play CM if you wish, and play it with the 0203 update, if you wish. Now, if I just go to it now, I'm going to show you something very, very quickly. Let's just fire up a game, shall we? So, remember what I said about the corner? And 3.968. Now, I'm just going to put this into... I'm going to put this into maximum database. There is a reason I'm doing that. So, okay. Make sure we're doing that. Yeah, cool. I'm not sure why it's going black. Right, start a new game. Okay. So, this is going to start a brand new game with the 3.968 with the 0203. Now, remember what I said about that that 3.968 patch is all about getting rid of a lot of bugs within the game. But as I said, it's the 0203. Now, this is also a lot of people, you may have heard at some point in your in the last 20 years, the Super Greeks. The Super Greeks. This version that is about to fire up is the Super Greeks. Okay, and that's why I've done I put it on max database, because I'm going to type in a player that will be in the game. You'll know, if you've played CM, you all know who Maximum Sigalko is. He's like, what do we call it, an Easter egg almost on the ODB. He's a player that no one never really turned into any sort of player real life-wise, but was a beast in the game. Okay, so I'm just going to go to, look at Arsenal. So you'll see now then that Alex Manina is not there, because he's always on loan, isn't he? Let's go to Man United and we will see Rio Ferdinand is there. And so on and so on. You know, there ain't going to be massive amounts of... it's not massive amounts. Robbie Fowler is at Leeds. Okay. Now, if I just go into... if I just look for him there... there he is. Skalidis. Okay, I don't even think... I think it's funny, really, because I think Maximum Sigalko on this version is actually spelt slightly different, I think. I'll check that in a minute. But Skalidis, so many Greeks are just... This is a Super Greek database. This is, and it must be on maximum. You will not find them on a minimum, maybe some on the normal. But Skalidis, I don't quite know why he keeps doing that. In fact, I think I do know why he keeps doing that. So, Skalidis is crazy. I mean, let me have a look at another one. 15 years of age, if I remember rightly. Topros, you know, it is crazy. It is crazy. I am going to just... There. Oh no, my apologies. Then it's spelt normally. Maximum Sigalko. Okay. So there are lots of Greeks. I mean, there's I think it was I want to say Dimitrios Papadopoulos or something Papadopoulos. There's loads. Andreas at the back. So you're ready to go. Now, as I said, right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, just to make things a little bit easier for me. I don't like this black screen every so often. Okay, let's just come out of this. So not everybody wants to play. I mean, I don't really like that version. I used to at the time. I don't really like it, you know, anymore, shall I say. Okay, so let's pretend you want to play ODB, but with the 3.968. Okay, let's just pretend that, okay? So, do you remember I said to you, go and get your ODB files. You put them safe somewhere. Right in here, okay? That's what I'm going to do, right here. Highlight everyone, should be 68 of them, I think. No, 106 of them, sorry. Highlight everyone. Copy them, don't cut them unless you're not going to... I mean, I would keep them stored. Into data, right-click, paste. And replacing any you've got. And there you go. Right. Okay. Job done. Now, if I just start a new game, again, I'll start another new game. I'll put this into minimum database. No, actually, I will have it at maximum, actually. I'm going to have it at maximum. Okay. I've just thought of an idea. So, we've kept it as maximum database. And as you can see, 3.968, but this is now going to be ODB, as we know it, 0102. And to test that, we will check Manina at Arsenal, we'll check Rio Ferdinand, we'll check Robbie Fowler, and we'll also look to see if Skilidis is in the game. Because I know they're not, you see, but I just want to be able to prove that to you guys. But like I said, some people, they want the Greek update, or what, and maybe they don't know what it's called. You know, they're in an update called the Greek update, the Super Greeks update. But to cut it short, it's the 3.968 patch. But a lot of people, myself included, I like to play ODB, but with a stabilised patch, such as the 3.968. Okay. Arsenal. And there's Alex Manina. Of course it's Manina. Okay, let's just take control of Manina there. Okay, let's check Liverpool. Robbie Fowler, there he is. Let's check Man United. No Rio Ferdinand, because Rio Ferdinand will be at Leeds United. There's Rio Ferdinand. And now let's just check. We know he's going to be in the game. I think his age always varies, don't it? His age always varies. Yeah, so Skilidis isn't in the game. You know, now, a real quick one, in case anybody's ever wondering. On the ODB as we know it, there's this guy. Now, that, Tomadira, he's a gem of a striker. He will score shitloads. Now, the thing is, right, I actually deleted Tomadira out of my database because, for me, Tomadira isn't a genuine player. You might have people like Sigalko, who scores loads, and you think, well, he's a cheap player. He's not a cheap player. Tomadira is a cheap player because he's not a player. He was put in there as what I would call as an Easter egg find. I'm not a big fan of finds that are not people that are not real players. I'm all for finding players like Sigalko, not just Sigalko though, because Mark Kerr is a great midfielder in the game. And there's various other strikers, or players that are just superb. So I delete Tomadira. Now, Madeira is not on any other version. He's only on the ODB as we see it right now. That 3.968, he's not on that. Also, you won't find Madeira. You will not find Madeira on a normal or minimum database. You probably won't find Sigalko either. Okay? So, that is the ODB. Okay? So, if you want ODB, let's just come out of all this. So, if you want ODB but stabilised ODB, that's how you get it. Okay? Now then, if you decide you want one of Nick's patches, I'm going to use Nick's patcher as a good example here, because I've already explained to you the other patches is like Tapani, and I mean I've still got, that's a Tapani right there. And the reason I've got it is because my long-term network game with Pep and Ian was from 2013. At the time, Tapani was the latest patch, 2.19. I think Tapani had about 4 or 5 actually, thinking about it. And I won't ever alter that because it's a long ongoing game, we still have it. So what I do, right, if I was putting an ODB onto Nick's patcher, sorry, if I was putting a Nick's patcher onto ODB, like I'm going to show you right now, I wouldn't use, personally, the very latest version. The thing is, right, the latest version of Nick's patcher, which is 2.29, is very much designed for the update. It's very much designed for the update. That's a fact. Because a lot of the things he's added are options connected to the update. But some people just want a simple Nick's patcher for the benefit of the ODB. So I'll show you that. And I tend to use one of these older versions over here. Okay? So we'll use 2.23, shall we? We'll use 2.23. And as you know, just so you know, let me just go back a minute. So you double click your CM patcher. Always make sure you are running it as an administrator. Should already be... oh, it's not actually. Okay. Always make sure you're running a patcher as an administrator. And what it's going to do for me now, it's going to look for CM 0102 and it's found it straight away. If you are patching, do you want some suggestions? Personally, I would say no to the suggestions and you make your own mind up. Okay? If it doesn't find it for whatever reason, you can browse it and look for it yourself. Okay? So if you can go for it and look for it yourself, and you're looking to alter your EXE now. That's what you're doing. You're altering your launch icon. This is what the patch is all about. And it always clarifies if you're altering something that hasn't been touched before. Do you want some suggestions? If you want to ask for suggestions, you can. Okay, right. So these are the suggestions. These are the base of Nick's patcher. There's a lot more, and I'm going to talk about the other ones in a moment. But these are the base. Enable coloured attributes. That is always a common one. Enable idle sensitivity. A few of these, I'm going to be honest with you, I know fuck all about, but I leave it ticked anyway. Disable the splash screen. You know, that sort of where it says SIG games, kick racism out of football, blah blah blah. Disable it. Now, I do disable it if I'm truly honest with you, just for speed. But it probably doesn't harm to actually have it and have that reminded in your face, I suppose. Enable 7 substitutes. Show star players. Now people say, right, when I play CM0102 on vanilla, we'll call it vanilla, where you haven't modified it, why can't I never get jobs abroad? Now my brother even says this, he goes, Mike, I can't ever get jobs abroad, and this is the reason. The 3.96a didn't actually rectify that much, but Nick's patcher does, okay? So, as you can see, we're on ODB, and there you see that is a massive one, absolutely massive one. Change resolution. You may want to change your screen resolution accordingly to fit your whatever size screen you've got. Replace Welsh Premier with. We'll come back to that because that is to do with more with the update. Replace the AI tactics with something of your choice. Personally, I wouldn't play with that. I would just leave them as is. You can dapper with it. Force load all players. Again, I wouldn't dapper with it. It says force all players to be loaded from the database, even if not all leagues have been selected. Let me just go back onto that. You still need maximum database set in the games. Expect it to take a long time to start a new game. Manage any team. You can actually manage absolutely any team you wish. Make executable portable. This attempts to remove the need for XP compatibility. Not really relevant. Swap South Korea for China. Again, that is really more for the latter stages. Because the idea of swap South Korea for China was because at the time of this particular patch, China was the best thing since sliced bread. Show hidden attributes, the fourth column of attributes. More about that afterwards. Apply known bug fixes, that is probably always worth one. Disable unprotected contracts. You know that unprotected contract crap. If you want to play ODB as it was intended, you would have it. You would have that unchecked. But I fucking hate that rule. Disable that message where it says CD remove. You can remove your CD. So little pet hate really. Have the position available in the tactics. So nothing to increase your. There's no cheats here. These are all sort of tweaks. These are more tweaks on top of the 3.96a. Allow closing game window. Now, closing game window, that's interesting because if I was to cross this out, it would close down. Now, on CM, it won't happen. It will say you must exit it. So, whilst that's a good thing, it's also a bad thing because how many times, right, have you played it in window mode and you've accidentally closed the game down? Regen fixes. Forces only teams with less than 45 players to get regens. Only fixes the issue of older regens. Let's just go back onto that again. To small nations. So what it says, remove the UK free foreign play limit. Remember what I said, this is just the original baseline tweaks that Nick implemented. There are loads more. Hide non-public bids. Add to Party's regen code. I would do that because there was a big thing about the regens weren't correct. Restrict players and tactics. That is basically... I wouldn't play with any of these two, to be honest with you. Okay. And enable your potential to grow. You can check that. I mean, I don't know why you would have that as unchecked, in all fairness. Currency inflation, that is really one for the update, which we'll come to in a moment. The speed of the game. And the changing of year. Again, that is one more for the update. But we'll come to that in a moment. So, apply. Do you want to make a restore point? No, we don't. I'll come to that in a moment. Okay. So we're applying, and it may take a minute or two, depending on how long, how good your processor is, before it says patched successfully, and there it is. Okay, so let's come out of all that shit now, and let's fire up a game again. You sometimes get that. Did it work correctly? Yes, it did. To run Nick's patcher, you sometimes have to have the correct. I think it's called framework. It's like a little add-on. You need framework. Let's just... Okay. I'm actually just going to put us into window mode for the moment. Okay. And I'm just going to show you something. You keep seeing these black... You see these black... See where it goes? There's black things. Oh, hang on. We'll have that. That is... Don't worry about that. Ignore that. That's for the benefit of internet play when you click on network play. I'm just going to come off it for a minute. Okay. I want to show you something really quickly. Do you remember we spoke earlier on about properties on your X? Service Pack 3. That's what they advise. But the best one, in my opinion, is Windows 95. I think it's stable for 95. Also, Windows 95 works in respect of network play. And also, you're going to see something now. So... There's none of that network play. It doesn't bring the black screen on network play. Okay, so we'll just go on minimum database for a minute, just to make it a little bit quicker. And away we go. So, a few tweaks now then, the speed of the game, and those bits that you saw. What I'll do is I'll fire up a quick game, and you can see... the coloured attributes, for example. Okay, let's just take... And we'll go to the obvious person, I feel. Patrick Vieira would be the obvious person, wouldn't he? And there you see. The coloured attributes are all there. Okay. So this is, a nice simplicity if you want coloured attributes. Because some people, they only want coloured attributes. Some people only want coloured attributes. Okay. So that's that. Okay, hopefully... I've covered everything there in basic terms as what I could have. Now, let me show you very, very quickly. I will show you a Tapani patch, if I can. Yeah. let me just think. I'm just thinking of the best way I can do it. So if I show you what a Tapani patch looks like, that is what it looks like. So you would browse to whichever exe you want to... do you remember this font? You would browse to whichever exe you want to modify, and these are your only options. So you see how far we've come on since the days of Tapani and the days of Saturn and the days of Nick. So that is Tapani, and that is what I was using when we first started playing my three-man game, which, as I said, was back in 2013. Okay, so that is that. Now, if you want to take it to the next level with your installs, I'll show you. Now, again, this has been covered in various other versions. So you can see that's the one we've just installed, okay? That is what we've just installed. I'm actually going to delete that now. I'm actually going to delete that completely because we don't want it. If you're wondering why I've got several installs, it's because I have a version of ODB, exactly what we've just installed there, but to my own specifications. I have my own customized database right there. I have another version of CM there purely for an interactive game that I play on the forums, so irrelevant. That is my Tapani install based on my three-man game. So whenever I want to play the three-man game, I fire up that CM. If I want to play my ODB network game, I fire up that one. But forget them. Let's talk about this one here. This is my most common update. This is the most up-to-date version of CM and Nick's Patcher. And version 2.29, I made a copy of it over here, just so I know where it is. Excuse me, and I'll show you exactly. Now, do you remember I said to you that when you fire up Nick's Patcher, it's going to look for CM0102. Now, it hasn't found it because I've renamed it. I'll talk to you more about renaming in a moment. So when that happens, if that happens, because if you've only got one version of CM on your computer, you won't rename it, you'll always find it. But in case that ever happens, so always, sometimes just look for it yourself, and it's the exe. Okay, it's not telling me, do I want any suggestions, because they know I've already patched it. And as you can see, they're my specifications, game speed, my currency inflation. I want my update to resemble as close to real life as possible. A friend of mine, Matt Tierney, asked me recently, what do I feel resembles real life? I feel 2.5 is the best, personally. Everybody may have a difference of opinion on that, you know. So a few of these that we already had, that was already embolded, and I think the reason that was embolded is because there is actually another patch which makes it 9. And the reason I've got that one, the 9 one, is because I want it to reflect real life. All as is, I don't change the resolution. Remember I said to you about this is to do with the update, replace the Welsh Premier League. Now, what that does is, I forget if this was Saturn or Nick, it was one of them, as part of these patches. Absolutely amazing piece of work here. So they abolished the Welsh League, so you can't start a game in the Welsh League. You can, unless you want to replace it. Replace it with the English National North or the English National South. You choose which one. You can't have both. It's one or the other. And it eliminates the Welsh Premier League and replaces it with what I would call a 6th tier in English football. Absolutely fucking brilliant. So it comes at a cost, and that is the Welsh League. Now, with all due respect to the Welsh League, I've got no interest in playing there, but I would have an interest in playing in the 6th tier of football. And we've all played Rags to Riches, where you build that team from the conference. Well, let's go a step further. Let's go from the Conference North or the Conference South. I only choose the North because, for some reason, Peterborough, my home city, is deemed the North for some reason, and there's a second team in that division. And of course, with the update, it reflects real life. So you see all these little minnows in the North League. I should point out that when you apply that check is irreversible, hence why I can't change it again, okay? So as I said to you before about replacing the AI tactics, I always keep the AI tactics, which are your computer tactics, what they play. I play whichever tactics resembles whichever database. So this is the update of April 2024. So I don't replace the AI tactics. I leave them as they are. I like to be in line to make it as realistic as possible. Fourth load, again, same as what it says before. Manage any team. You don't need to be able to manage any team because there's no point in managing an inactive team. I swapped South Korea for China. That is also irreversible, may I add. I show hidden attributes. I'll show you what the hidden attributes are in a moment. I'm sure you know, but we'll come to that. Apply known bug fixes. Again, we'll come to the year thing in a minute. Enable potential to grow. Update names. Irreversible, but that is to update the names. So it's not Premier 123 as the ODB would have it. It's to reflect real life. Restrict player tactics and scouters. That is to disable certain things within tactics. If you're not familiar with it, don't touch it. Add to Parney's regen. We did that. Remove the UK foreign limit. Now, I removed that just like I disabled the unprotected because I wanted to reflect real life. This is just my own specifications, okay? Now, when you apply, do you remember when we applied on that version, it said, do you want to make a restore point? Always make a restore point, and then it's basically like a little save, and you can always go back to it if you make a mistake with any future patches you're trying to apply, okay? So these, again, like I showed you a minute ago on the ODB, these are your base changes. Okay, these are your base changes. Very, very simple. The game start year, I want it to reflect as close to real life as possible. Some people would say, well, can I put it as 2024 because that's the year? Well, it's not, because the update is based on 23/24. So it's all about following procedures, really. Some people will dapper with 2024, and that's where your save comes in. Save it. Then start playing around with it if you wish, but you do that at your own risk, to be honest with you. And then you can always restore an old from where you last saved. Okay, so that is that. Now they're your base ones. Now I'm going to show you now a little bit more advanced when you're using a Nix patcher. Let's firstly start with the MISC patches. Very, very, very important. Apply a MISC patch. There are several of the tools here on Nix Patcher, most of which I'm familiar with, but the most important ones I'm going to show you are apply a MISC patch. Now, this is where the save and restore is important. I would personally, when you've done these, fire up the game, make sure it's all okay, you're good, come out of it, fire it back up, save. So you've got that little bit of a backup. Then click your MISC patches. Nick does give you a disclaimer saying only do this if you know what you're doing. Okay, so the MISC patches, there's loads. There's absolutely loads. Most of which have this, I should point out, this is really for the advanced users here. Most of which do have a description, not all of them, and some of which they are irreversible once they're checked. Again, if I check something, apply it, fire up the game and it crashes or it's something fucked up, you can come back to it, restore, and it'll uncheck it, okay? So be careful when you are saving over your previous one. So basically, right, all these MISC patches, a lot of which are applied to, don't get confused here with these base patches. These base patches right here, some of which will conflict with it. And I've been guilty of it. You know, it's happened to me. You know, they see, some of which I don't touch. And you can see here, this is where Nick has implemented Saturn's work. Because Saturn, as you can see, when Saturn first started working on patches, after Tapani, it was called Saturn version 1. And as you can see, Nick's implemented some of that. Saturn version 2, Saturn version 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, one of the biggest things, and I'll show you, because you can use a filter here if you're looking for a specific patch, is, where is it? That one there. No, sorry, that one there. It was in Saturn 5. I really like that patch, and Nick actually doesn't have it already checked. I check it myself when I apply it. Now, if it means anything to you, you'll know what I'm going to say. But if it don't, I'll explain what that patch is. That is basically, when a player is out on loan, no one can bid for him. So really supports the little clubs. If you're playing a rags to riches, you've got this player on loan, no one can sabotage that loan and bid for him. There are flaws in that if he's out of contract at the end of the year, no one can offer him a contract because you can't bid for him. But it prevents somebody fucking up your loan. And of course, there are many other things here that I check specifically. For example, let me show you something. For example, so a lot of which, so things like Nick's fitness patch. I don't know if that's already checked or if I've checked that. There you go. No complaining about training. It's just little things. It's little things. No more work permits. There was a specific one that actually Nick mentioned myself, which is off sidetrack from the forums. Remove second name requirements. All these patches are not to cheat the game. They're to enhance the bits and pieces. They don't affect you in the game. There are a few that can. I choose not to have that. There are a few that that I feel that would personally. In fact, maybe not on this section, but there are bits and pieces here and there. There is a... Okay, we're up to Saturn 1. I don't want to... Right, so... Right. There's lots of patches here about protection from crashes. For me, a lot of them that are already a necessity, Nick will already have checked. And he'll only sort of leave the one... If it's not checked, then it's about a crash, and Nick doesn't see... I feel Nick don't see it as a necessity, but some people do. I'm going to try and look for something... That's quite a new one. Use common names for Brazilian regens. Very, very common one there. That uncapping of 20s, and you can read what it says on the tin right there. There was another one. See any team's finances. There's lots. I mean, I don't like the scoreboard. So I don't have it checked. And so on and so on and so on. Okay, so that is that. Now then, let's go back to here. So apply a mispatch. Now apply a patch file. Now these apply a patch files, right, is the same as apply a mispatch, but Nick doesn't have every available mispatch that everybody wants. Of course he don't. The guy's only human. Now, I've got some specific patch files, or what's alternatively known as mispatches, of my own. In an ideal world, right, I would love for these ones that I'm about to show you to be put within here. For example, there is a mispatch called Human Manager Attributes, where you as a manager have attributes. I used to have to apply that myself. I no longer have to because Nick has it as a mispatch now. Okay, and that is the case. That was the case with all jobs together. So if you've got multiple leagues open, England, France, Germany, and you want to look at the jobs, they're all the available jobs are all together and not just in. You don't have to go to each country. I used to have to apply that myself, but now Nick's got it within mispatches. So I'll show you what I've got. I know this don't appeal to everybody. Okay, there is a patch somewhere called replace. Do you remember I told you about replacing Wales with the English National League North or South? There is another patch which is very new on those mispatches, which is replace Northern Ireland with Austria. Now I checked that and it crashed. Nick actually contacted me and said, yeah, you need to apply a specific mispatch, exactly where I am, and it will rectify it. Now, that didn't work. I did give feedback, so that's what that is. First off, no transfers. I'm not going to apply that. I don't have that applied because I think it was a bit dodgy, so I don't have any of these applied. Most of these I have applied. AI squad status, I'll be able to show you what that is in a moment. Basically where you can look at a computer team. AI, just remember AI is always the computer. The AI tactics, the computer tactics. The AI squad status, what the squad status of a player is for AI. Chairman attributes, if you want your chairman to have attributes. I don't know if it's here or there. More goals, I would not advise to have that unless you want a bit of a laugh. No club 150. I'll show you what that is in a moment. No max wage, I would advise not to have that Gets a little bit. I mean, the idea of that was to have, with the average wage in Ronaldo, Kante in Saudi Arabia, but that's a little bit out of control. School search and training facilities. I will show you what all these actually mean in a moment, but that's where you'd apply them. Okay, so a few of the things now that I'm going to show you. They're already done on this game, but I'll show you anyway. That maybe that I've shown you before and maybe went a little bit too fast. EEC Patcher. So, players being a non-EU, the idea is to make every player in the game an EEC. And what you do, all you're going to do, that's all you're going to do. You're going to make every player an EEC to stop the use of work permits. Now, in theory, you could avoid having to do this because Nick's got missed patches, which basically can support this. No more work permits required ever again. I personally have it that I don't want the word FGN next to the players, that they're not an EE. And I think you've got to think to yourself, with England probably now not being part of the EU, it just makes it easier to just have a clean slate of everybody, not applying to everybody. So that's what that is. And when you're applying it, all you're doing is, if you're applying it, you look in, make sure you go to the exact folder, and you look in to double click onto Nation. Okay, and they're already done. So that's one. The referee patcher. Now, back in one of the early days of one of the Saturn versions, it was said that there was too many red cards. And at the time, I agreed. I think that there was too many. So Nick implemented this within his tools where you could alter the referee and how harsh he was. So once again, you go to your CM, you look for it, you look in the data folder, okay, and you click on officials. It'll be the only one that's available to you. So you won't look at so that's it. And then it defaults at 80, and you can alter it to whatever you wish. I tend to put mine at 50 or 60. Alternatively, you could do it by set discipline to fixed rate. And I'm not sure what the amount is on that, so I tend to do it like this and have it at 60. Okay, so that is those two. Now, remove stadium limits. Now, you must have all done it at some point where you've played CM and you've asked for an increase in your stadium, and the local council have blocked it. Removing stadium limits apparently rectifies that. I understand that's not 100% waterproof though. So, I mean, it's worth just clicking it anyway. So, it's worth clicking it anyway. So remove that. So the usual applies. Just double check you're on the right CM install stadiums, and there you see, removed. Okay, so that's these three. We've done apply patch file. Offset calculator, I'm not 100% sure how to work that, so feel free to share that with us. Save Scouter, now I'm not familiar with that either. I'm not familiar with it. There's a few things I'm not familiar with. RGN image converter, that is to do with the images. Things like pictures, sounds don't interest me of being altered. I'd rather just have a default picture and keep it as is, so I don't touch it. Save changer tool. I'm not familiar with it. Not familiar with it whatsoever. History editor. Now, again, the chances are you shouldn't need to use history editor for the simple reason, if you're using the update, it's all going to be up to date. You know, you might find something wrong. I remember, I think it was on the October update, something was wrong on the history, and you had to do this and alter it somewhere along the line. But to be honest, don't worry. They've got odd years there. They are rectified within the game. So I don't touch it. There's no need to touch it personally. Player transfer tool. I know what it is. I just don't ever use it. I don't update the game myself manually. I don't see the point. I really don't. Review exe log. Now this is interesting because this is quite new. Where you can review all your changes. I think this is brilliant, actually. And I think it's definitely worth looking at. All the things that I've recently changed myself and where I've been to. And as you can see, it's telling me what I've opened, what I've patched, and you can see if you want to look, I mean, I could technically just copy to clipboard and tell you everything what I've patched. So if somebody says, Mike, I want exactly what you've got, I could just copy to clipboard right here, and just paste it to you, and then you'd know where to go to, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, there's loads. There's fucking loads. They're all missed patches, yeah. Okay. We've done apply. Go home. Now, I only learned what this was recently. I didn't know what it was, but it says right here, this tool allows you to work around the bug whereby international players get stuck at their international team and never return home to their club. This tool forces a country to return the players. Now, I've actually never had the issue, to be honest with you, but I know it happens, and that's what that's for. I never knew it was on here. So there you see. So you've got to think to yourself, right? If you are playing ODB, right? If you are playing ODB and you've got a Nix patcher, you may want to use a Nix patcher that has that go home tool on. I don't know if they all have it. I'm not sure. Because ODB is where it might be a little bit more prone to happen. On the update, it's very, very unlikely. It really is very unlikely. So that is that. So what we'll do now then is I will show you, and I've shown you this before, but I'll do it again. To my install, and I'm going to show you with a testing game that I fire up. So the obvious things, right, is my value, my player value 2.5. 2.5, I think that reflects close to. I don't necessarily agree with that Martinelli is the highest valued player at Arsenal. I disagree with that, but it's to. But they're auto values, as you can see. They're auto values, but it's to reflect it as close to as possible. Do you remember I said to you about you can't bid for players on loan? So we'll just go to this guy here, Matson, and I cannot bid for him. He's on loan. I cannot bid. Simple as that. So that was one thing. I said to you about. Let me just pick a team quickly. There was one of the things on the tactics screen where you can see their condition and their position in one hit. That's like that, as you can see. There was training ground facilities. You can see that in that perspective, 20 out of 20, as opposed to just excellent. It's not a biggie. It's just something I like to see it out of 20. Gets you a bit more of a perspective, because I think it can be. See, I thought training ground. I thought 20 out of 20 would be world class, but I don't know. Interesting. So let's just have a check now. Then can I? Let's have a check. Would it let me? Nope. Yeah, you can't get it any better. Can't get it any better. Okay. So there's my value. So let me have a look at Man United's team. Man United's value. So I can look at transfer funds and balance of relevant AI clubs, and so on and so on. I can look at their training. See, training ground, 18 out of 20. Excellent. I'm excellent. 20 out of 20. Let's look at Manchester City. I thought world class was it, but maybe I got that wrong actually. See, Man United, 17 out of 20. That's quite interesting, isn't it? And so on and so on. Okay, so that is that. What was the other thing that we said that I did? Okay, so let's just go back actually to Liverpool. So let's look at Van Dijk. Contract, he is an important player. That is what I mean by the squad status of AI. It's just a personal preference. And the reason I like that, right, and if you go to Chelsea, Badashile, sometimes he's not needed. And if you can see a player, he might not necessarily be transfer listed, but he might be not transfer listed, but he is not needed. It's definitely worth a punt and putting in a bid in. Curicella. There you see. Now, providing he's interested, which he may not be with Arsenal, I'm not sure. Should we have a check? Let's add him to the shortlist, shall we? And just see if Curicella is interested, yes or no. No, he's not. but that's because of rival Premier League team and so on and so on. Let me look for another player then that they tend to sell. I know Chelsea have a few, you see. Chelsea genuinely have a few. It's gets a little bit silly really after a while. Oh, shit. I've had a complete mind blank as to who it is. And I'm looking for someone and I cannot find him. And I'm conscious as to why. Where's Conor Gallagher? Am I being really fucking stupid here? I'm really confused. Where the fuck's Conor Gallagher? I don't even know where he's gone to. Not quite sure where he is, because he tends to come available. Malang Sarr. Okay, he's unhappy. So I bet you, and he's not needed. So I'll guarantee. Let's see if he's interested in me. Oh shit. Let's go back to a minute. Let's see. No, he's not either. So that's what I like about it. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you is something I have cleared before. So, but I will tell you again. These are my own specific ones. Now, some people say, where do I get these patches from? Well, I don't know how to how to design them. I do not know how to design them. But there are so many experts that do, and my hat comes off to those guys. There is a thread in the forums which says the offsets thread, and people will give you the offsets, which are basically a load of some information that you then convert into a patch file, which is what you then apply by that Nick's patcher screen. You apply the patch file. I know how to make the patch file, but I wouldn't know where to start with regards how to make them. So no club. So when you write in no club, case sensitive may I add, you will bring up all players that have not registered at a club. However, with that patch that I've applied, it minimises, it filters out anyone with a potential ability, PA for short, of less than 160. I think it's 160. And as you can see, these three players, even though they're not the greatest, they have a PA of 160 and above that are at no club. He's retired. I don't quite know why they've shown me him. Okay. Now that is the same really as the most common one, Sedgeford. That's already there. That is a 180 PA. So right in Sedgeford is a 180 PA, and no club is 160. And the word school search, 180 PA, filters out players under the age of 20 with a PA of 180 and above. So definitely a good. I don't refer to this as a cheat personally. In my opinion, having a third-party program. I mean, I'm actually coming round to accepting third-party programs, because somebody may spend some time doing some digging, doing some research, and making a mental note of what players to go for, however means necessary, and then going to that player when, like I just said to you, I knew who to go to at Chelsea. That's no different than you going on the ODB and writing Maxman Sigalko in, Mark Kerr, Skalidis, whatever, So that is that. I said to you earlier on about the names, Premier League, Championship, so on and so on. Okay, I like the fact that they've called it the Football League Trophy and not the fucking Bristol Motors or the fucking Papa John fucking Pizza Hut, whatever the fuck it's called nowadays, because that pisses me off. That really does hack me off. I'm obviously more familiar with English League than any other league, but there are people out there that give so much input about various leagues. It's fucking brilliant. It really is. Because at the end of the day, it's everyone around the globe that loves CM. There's no doubt about that. So, I think I've covered everything. I'm just trying to make sure that I haven't missed anything. Transfer windows. Obviously, when you update when you update tournament names, league names, also the transfer windows, that is to reflect real life, which means the window closes at the end of August, reopens at the 1st of January, it's open for a month, and then reopens again in January. Oh, I like that. I really prefer that as opposed to how the ODB was. So that's that's another thing that I find really important. Do you remember I said to you about disabling scouters and wibwob? So what that would do, this is a bit of a touchy subject, is it would disable these two screens, where it means that you cannot tamper with the with ball and without ball, wibwob for sure. It would disable them, but the downside of that, it would also disable that load icon, so you would not be able to load a tactic. So that's up to you. I don't like to play wibwob. I like to try and play without. I have self-imposed rules in terms of tactics, and my self-imposed rules are at least 3 at the back on the back line, and that is on this back line. That does not constitute 3 at the back, despite what people say. In my opinion, and it is only an opinion, I feel that anything with less than 3 at the back exploits the match engine. I also feel that you have to have 2 wide players. So if you are playing 3 at the back like so, you must have something like you must have 2 wide players. So something like a 3-5-2 almost. You must have wide players. If you don't, in my opinion, you are exploiting the match engine with no wide players. It becomes what's known as a centralised tactic, which exploits the match engine, in my opinion. I don't do wibwob, and the reason I don't do wibwob is because I feel that it exploits the match engine, and whilst wibwob is a part of football, and it is a part of the game, and it is a feature, you have the option to let AI also have wibwob, also have access to unrealistic formations. So it is just an opinion. In my opinion, if you're going to play these tactics, and so on and so on, and some people will do things like this, then you can ensure that AI have access to similar sort of tactics. Now, I ain't going to lie, the very first tactic I played CM with, which was a 93-94 version on the Amiga, was something like that. I remember playing something like that on the Amiga, and you would destroy everybody. But it's not for me anymore. That's back in the days when I was like 15 years old. That's just an opinion. Okay. And that's it, guys. I'm hoping I've covered it, and I'm hoping particularly the simplicity side of things. I'm hoping it's all good, and I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. I really do. I hope I haven't got on too much, because I do have a tendency to waffle on. I would like to say thank you to Fods. Now, me and Fods have not always seen eye to eye, but in all fairness, that really is in the past. But I think it was valid information, and I'm hoping, I probably haven't, to be honest, I've probably still spoke too fast, but hopefully we're all good. Till next time from me, guys, take it easy.